See, on my side, I have a progress bar, so I'm watching it go. It's setting up your meeting on YouTube Live.
This is funny.
There's always that awkward, like 20 seconds after I press go live and I wait for it to.
Yeah, but I mean, unless someone's
Done.
watching, we're great. Okay, good. Hi, everybody.
We're live. See, on my side, I have a progress bar, so I'm watching it go. It's setting up here, and we sound good too. Okay, let me get this link tweeted at you, buddy.
Get the link tweeted to me, and away we go. Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's the red carpet. It's the preamble to Hebsy on Sports 268. Our guest is Fred Patterson today, the one half of the Humble and Fred show. The better half. The lower half?
Oh, don't let Howard hear you say that.
No, I'm thinking the better half, the lower half, the
first half, because he was the OG, man. He was there with Pete and Geets. Like, right. To me, he's the OG, and then Howard just drops in from Montreal.
Right.
So Freddie's a real deal, man. You could talk to Pete and Geets, and when Mike Stafford was doing news, man, you can go back to the David Marsden era of Spirit of Radio.
Right. Did you have you tweeted the link?
No, I'm You're just thinking about Mars Bar there. Okay, live with Hebsy Man. It's Hebsy on
Okay. Today on the show, folks, Australian Open is going on right now. I woke up this morning to watch Rafael Nadal. 2 days ago, I stayed up till 2 in the morning to watch the Shapovalov match.
Wow.
Phenomenal. And listen to this. He's down 2-1, and it's about, I don't know, midnight or 11, and I'm tired. And I'm like, he's down 2-1. Sure. He's not coming back. He's playing like shit. Yeah. He's awful out there. And I stay up. Okay. And he come back. Now I'm staying, and he kicks the crap out of this guy the last 2 sets and wins. And you just never know. I mean, he looked awful. He looked as bad as the Maple Leafs looked good last night. You're sitting watching saying, there's no way they can blow that. I mean, they're playing great. But then something creeps in, 4-1 lead or 2-goal lead, anything that, especially on this road trip. And you just don't know with human beings. You don't realize what people are capable of doing. Everyone's sitting there going, this guy got no chance. Meanwhile, inside, he's like, Argh.
Tweet that.
I'm not making that mistake again.
Tweet that link.
Okay. And then we're ready to go to the show. All right.
And then we're going to be on with the show.
On with the show. There it is.
There it is. Bam. Okay. This is 268 for those keeping track at home. 268. It's a big number. Yep. Wow. Okay.
Well, don't even.
Well, you know what I mean for a weekly show. Okay. I got to throw caveat in there. I had a head start.
Wait, you're killing me.
Well, find out from Fred what their number is. They don't even keep track, but I would guess it's like 3,000 at this point.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
You ready to rock?
You know what that's from?
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing
me, Smalls. You're killing me.
What's it from?
Sandlot. That's from the Sandlot.
I forgot.
He drops the ball in right field, and he's a terrible player. You're killing me, Smalls. All right.
The freckly redheaded kid or whatever. Is that the kid? Okay. All right, here we go, my friend. You'll know it when Los Lobos begins. Here we go.
Live from Toronto, it's Hebsy on Sports, episode number 268. Hi there, sports fans. How are we doing today? Are you all right? Feeling okay? Are you still shaken up after hearing a Hall of Fame reporter call an underachieving hockey player pissy?
Right.
Not pussy. He didn't call him a pussy, but he may as well have called him a pussy. Pissy and pussy. It's not that far. Come on. You don't do stuff like that. Folks, I'm shaken to the core. What a story this is. Does this story have legs? Does this story have skates? This is the 50,000 meter speed skate. This one oh my God. Slow week in sports. Oh my God. Anyway, we're going to save that topic. I just save that for our special guest, Fred Patterson of the Humble and Fred show. I'm sure he's got a few things to say about this. I first met Freddie over 40 years ago when we were both young sportscasters. And look what happened. I'll leave that to you.
Look at them now.
Look at them now. We'll talk about and I quote, the soft and purposeless Toronto Maple Leafs. That's according to their coach. You're soft and you're purposeless. Am I being pissy? We'll talk about the scrappy Raptors who continue to impress even when they lose. Because you know that they're going to get better. Because you know that Scotty Barnes is a rookie. He's got, what's he got? 40 NBA games under his belt? He's going to make the odd mistake. It's okay. He's going to get better. We got updates from Australia. We're going to talk about the fact that no broadcasters are actually going to Beijing to cover the Olympics. Like 3, I think there's 3 of them. I'm serious. There's 3. I think the one that's covering downhill skiing, the one that's covering figure skating, and another one like that. That's it. The rest are staying. They're back in Connecticut in a studio, in their home studio, in your basement, calling it off a monitor like every other sports broadcaster today. I'll bet you don't know, out of the last 5 Leaf games you watched on television, how many of them were the announcers actually at the game? Boy, I'm really flying today.
I'll bet you're right, Hebsy. I wouldn't take that bet.
No, the idea is this. They're not going to tell you. And I'm not going to spend time guessing. Is Chris Cuthbert in St. Louis? Are they in? Are they? Can we tell? Am I listening that closely? No, I just want to see the game. It doesn't matter. You could tell. Seriously, you could be calling. You could be on the toilet with your iPad. Okay, you got to go and and now here. And then, quietly flush. And I wouldn't know. The difference. The audio mixer, they're all so good that they make it appear as if I told you this before, it's the illusion. It's the beauty.
It's the exception being when Buck Martinez gets excited about that shallow fly ball that he thinks might leave yard. That does happen once in a while. Like, get out of here. And the ball is like it's like that catch George Bell made to clinch the 85 pennant. It's a shallow pop fly.
That was Fergie Oliver. And he was at the game. But the difference is this.
You
think it's easy when you're at the game.
Playing.
Well, you know what I mean?
No, I know. I'm saying the George Bell catch was a shallow pop-up that George Bell caught. Buck, if he were calling that game, might think it would go yard. You caught up to me now?
But having said that, it really wouldn't matter whether he was at the game or not. Sometimes when that ball's hit, whether you're watching it on TV or you're there, you think, oh my God, like your initial is that ball's well hit.
Right.
But on radio, when you only can hear it, it's a totally different animal, right? Like Jerry Howarth would never say, he wouldn't speak as the ball was being hit. You have to hear the sound, right?
I saw Jerry the other day. He looks great, man. Like I don't know if did he say he retired for health reasons or did they push him out? I can't remember. But
wait. You're the one who has that scoop because you said, you knew categorically. I said that Jerry did not want to retire, that he wanted to continue broadcasting.
Well, I'm coming to your side
and that the Blue Jays didn't offer him what he wanted. And he went out on top, all right?
He did.
I don't know. I don't think it was like there was like for health reasons only. It might have been something to do with it. And Jerry's the type of guy where he would never in a million years burn, never mind a bridge, like a twig, nothing.
Okay, but remember when he was doing his farewell tour, he was appearing on everything. Bob McCown would not have him on primetime sports. There's an absolute beef between Jerry Howarth and Bob McCown.
Well, I don't want to get into that. But
come on, you must know.
Well, hang on. I thought we were going to talk about the beef later between the Draisaitl and the Hall of Fame writer.
Okay,
and that's another thing. Wait.
Remember, I'm flying blind today, Hebsy. You didn't send me anything.
I did so. I absolutely did.
Are you sure? Okay,
we got a show to do here. If you're not paying attention, if you haven't done your research, come on, you got what? It's the kids. Is that the excuse today, Mike? The kids going back to school. Okay.
I found it.
Good. Okay, so where was I? I was just about to. This is what happens when we're not sitting in the same room together. Yeah. So wait a sec. Hang on, just a sec. We got NFL stuff this weekend. Huge. Hadn't even dipped my toe into that yet. But we were talking about this.
Los Lobos. So last night I had an episode of Toast.
I know. Wait.
Okay.
Whose show is this today? It's mine. Yours was last night. Your Toast was last night.
That's right.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is Toronto Mike. This is, I guess, this is the new Hebsy on Sports 2.0. It's actually 3.0 because it's not. The show is Hebsy on Sports, but the logo is Hebsy Sports, and it's me and Mike.
Right.
So it's Hebsy. So the word Hebsy is sort of on the word sports, like Hebsy on Sport. Anyway, that's the new look, and we are not soft and purposeless. And let me tell you, we're not pissy either. But last night I was watching this new podcast, The Toast, with you and Cam Gordon and Stu Stone.
Right.
So you just changed the fucking name of Pandemic Fridays to Toast. That's fine. Fine.
And it's monthly now.
But The song we hear that begins this program and has for the last 268 shows, top and bottom. That's right. Do the Murray by who?
Los Lobos.
One hit wonders?
Right.
Where were you? Come on. You said, how could you say that? Here's the thing. When you say one hit wonder,
yeah,
everyone except for you and your friends know that one hit wonder means a band or artist that came along and had one hit and one only, and that was it for their career. Like
Billboard Hot 100.
They were a shooting star. A one hit wonder is a shooting star, also known as flash in the pan. Am I right?
No. This is
not the same thing,
far more scientific. This literally
means...
means...
You're full of it. Don't give me that. You called them a one-hit wonder.
You called them a
one-hit wonder.
Well, that's the term. You're right.
That's bullshit. It's bullshit. Multi-Grammy Award winners have been around for 50 fucking years.
Yeah.
You can't be a one-hit wonder. I'll tell you what. Status Quo, Pictures of Matchstick Men, one-hit wonder. Any freaking boy band that had, Vanilla Ice or Ice-T.
Mark Morrison. That's what sparked
Mark Morrison. That's a one-hit wonder. You can't call a band that's been around for 50 years a one-hit wonder. You're nuts.
Okay,
don't ever do that again.
It is an insulting term because that's a fantastic band, Los Lobos. I've seen them live in concert too. They're amazing. But scientifically, they have one song that has ever appeared on the Billboard Hot 100. That's what I mean by one-hit wonder. They're not a wonder. They're not a flash in the pan, but they have a single hit.
Do me a favor. Just change the term to whatever you want to call it. But don't take a term that for generations has been known. And it doesn't matter if it's an artist. A one-hit wonder essentially means you had your flash in the pan, you peaked really quickly, or you came along out of nowhere. You were a phenom, whatever the word you want to use. And then died like a shooting star.
I apologize. It's a terrible term for Los Lobos.
Terrible term.
But the fact remains, they have one song in the top 100. That's all I was saying.
And listen to this. Here's the irony of it. It wasn't even their song.
No, I know. It's Richie Valens.
Yeah, it wasn't even their songs. They were number one with a song that was recorded. And by the way, I believe the only song ever to go to number one on English radio that was all in Spanish. The entire song was Spanish.
Oh, we'll have to see if Despacito did that as well. But you're right.
Number one. Anyway, speaking of number one. Oh, before I get started here.
Yeah, sorry.
The other day, I make arrangements to go play shinny with my brother. We're going to play shinny. So at Trinity Bellwoods Parks, okay, and I'm going to say this for anyone that loves to play shinny or even just skate, Trinity Bellwoods Parks, a few blocks from my house, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, all right, is shinny from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Woo!
So you could, like I've done this, you could go, like I go in the morning, I play for a while, I get tired, I go out, I have some breakfast, take my skates off, and I go home, go to the bathroom, whatever. And then I'll come back maybe later in the day. Depending, I might walk by it a few times to see if there's any action going on the rink. So my brother and I, the other day on Wednesday, we like, hey, let's go play shinny. So he comes over, we walk over, got our skates, we got our sticks, we're trudging in 3 feet of snow, and we get to the rink and there's nobody there. And we realize that the rink has not been cleared off.
Yeah.
And we're outraged. Meanwhile, people are slipping on side streets. They can't get out of snowbanks. People are having heart attacks and freaking dropping, Right. And by the way, if you're shoveling tip from a pro, use both sides. In other words, I know you're a left-handed shot, but you have to shoot right-handed when you're shoveling as well, or else you're going to put too much strain on that side and you're going to drop into, and I've seen it before, and friends of mine, it's happened to them. You're going to drop.
That's a good tip.
Okay. Please trust me. Okay. Work both sides. Like you're doing weights. You don't just do one. So you have to do both sides, especially when you're doing shoveling. So even though your technique might be a little off, take it from a pro. Okay. I made a lot of money this week shoveling driveways. Well, not actual cash, but I made favors. I put myself in good stead with certain people that, down the road will reciprocate.
Love it.
So me and my brother go skate. So anyway, we get to the rink. Rink's not been shoveled off. So we're outraged because we think that the city of Toronto shouldn't be worried as much about clearing the streets for the safety of pedestrians and kids going to school or whatever, that they should be clearing off the frickin' rink so that those of us, who aren't going to school, because this was the day after the 2 snow days.
Right.
Anyway, now we can't play. So we go walking back to my place. And as we are, there's 6 guys come walking down Bellwoods Avenue with their skates, with their sticks. And we're like, guys, we're nodding our heads. Nope, not going to happen, guys. No shinny. My brother now knows of a place. It's a private rink, not private, but it's sort of community run in this park.
Okay.
And it's good. And it's okay. It's pretty good. It's pretty good when it's good and cold. So he says, let's take a try. Let's go up there. So we drive by. I don't see anybody. I jump out of the car. I go to where the rink is. It's all been shoveled off. It's pristine as can be. It's not, the ice isn't super great because it hasn't been really, really cold for a long enough period yet, but it's pretty good. And there's nobody on the ice. And there's 2 nets that are sitting in a snowbank that are almost completely covered up. So I wave to my brother, right? And he parks the car. And by the way, he parks the car in front of a private home, okay, in a legit parking spot. The entire parking spot has been shoveled out by the owner, I assume. And there's a sign there, a homemade sign that says no parking.
Wow.
So my brother, who's a lawyer, immediately, is like, what? And I say, so I say to my brother, I say, hey, look at that sign. Come on, that's an official City of Toronto sign. It says no parking. You can't park here. And of course, I'm kidding with him, right? And he's like, no. He says, he says, the owner, who do they think they are? Because it's a prime spot right across the street from the park. It's beautiful. And it's all been shoveled out. And that's another thing. If you shovel out the snowbank, does that give you the right to, can you lay claim to that parking spot because you shoveled it? Of course you cannot.
Of course not.
So when someone leaves that beautifully shoveled spot right in front of their house and does a homemade sign, no parking, you're asking for it. You're asking for it. If you wouldn't have put up the homemade sign, no problem. But you put up the homemade sign. So not only are we going to park, we're going to park here all day. So we go, we play shinny. We have a great time. We're the only 2 on the ice. We're having a fabulous time. It's wonderful. 45 minutes goes by. We're like, okay, that's it.
Well, I saw the footage, man. It looked amazing.
It was fun. And then we go for lunch, right? So we leave the car, but we put our equipment back in the car. And we go for a walk right up to a few blocks up is St. Clair Avenue. And we find this great little sandwich place down an alleyway that we go to all the time. That's got salads and coffee. It's a neighborhood place, fabulous place. Go there. We have
by Ice Cube. Today it was a good day.
It was.
I feel like you could, found a shinny rink, got a good parking spot, found a good sandwich place. Like, this is a good day for Hebsy and his brother.
That was good. Really good. Had a great day. Great, fabulous gourmet sandwiches we had. Walked back, having a good, schmooze. And we get back to his car. And now someone has parked right behind him. I mean, right behind him. Okay. And for sure it's the owner. It's for sure it's the guy who shoveled out the spot. Has to be. And I'm like, but of course, cars nowadays, it'll beep, 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 beep. It'll let you know exactly how close you are. And so anyway, and he had left enough room in front too. But it was like the guy was for sure the owner who would come back saying, this guy took my spot. I put a no parking sign up there. So there could have been a confrontation. Wow. And there were hockey sticks nearby.
Could have been fisticuffs. Yeah.
More fisticuffs. Could have been a Donnybrook. Could have been a Pier 6 brawl. Anyway, enough about me. With world number 1 Novak Djokovic out of the picture and nobody talking about him this week. Thank God for the Matheson Draisaitl bout, right? Nobody talking about, like, as if he had fallen off the end of the earth, right? You're dead to me, Djokovic. You're dead to me. Meanwhile, the Australian Open is going on and wide open on the men's side. And Canadians making some noise this morning. Denis Shapovalov, the number 14 seed, who roared back to win a 5-setter in the second round, which I stayed up till like all hours to watch. It was fabulous. He dispatched 6'11" Riley Opelka of the U.S. earlier today. 7-6, 4-6, 6-3, 6-4 to advance to the round of 16. Now, Opelka is like sort of the Andre the Giant of the tennis world. You know what I mean? He's not like Isner's like 6'10". They're both, but this Opelka looks like Grizzly Adams on a tennis court. Like, he's just a big.
What, he couldn't he couldn't play basketball? Wouldn't that be a more like a better pursuit for Riley?
I'll pretend you didn't say that, Mike. Come on, you know better than that. Anyway, that was the good news for Shapovalov. The bad news, he has to deal with the number 3 seed Alexander Zverev in the round of 16. That's the guy whose girlfriend accused him on multiple occasions of beating him. He's a very sort of soft looking, like, I don't want to say soft in matter. He has soft features. Let's use this properly. He's not a big bear of a, guy. Doesn't look like a real masculine, guy, kind of macho guy. He's more, his features are more effeminate.
Is he pretty?
Yeah, I think he's pretty. Yeah. So anyway, and you look at him and go, oh, this guy, like, he seems very soft and easygoing and stuff, that kind of thing. But like his girlfriend and a few times has accused him beating her. And now immediately I don't like the guy. So I want to see Shapovalov win for two reasons. One is to beat any guy that's considered to be what I call a wife beater, and you know that general category I'm talking about, disgusting human beings, right? Like, the worst. So that's what I'm hoping for. In the meantime, Shapo this morning broke Opelka at 3-all in the opening set, took command, won the first set, dropped the second set, and then went on a bit of a tantrum after the second set. Now, I didn't see all of it, but apparently he was arguing over some of the Hawkeye calls. And the Hawkeye is the electronic. I mean, you can't argue with the Hawkeye calls. But apparently he was like, that's fucking bullshit. And in tennis, how the microphones kind of pick everything up, but sometimes you're like, you hear the, like, do you know what Shapovalov is saying? Like what word or what is it that he's uttering when, he hits a great shot that's a winner? Like, is he going, he's not going, come on. Is he going, fuck? Like, what is he saying? And what can you get away with? I mean, the grunting, for years, you get used to it now. It's like, oh my God, except when if it's a super high pitch or something. But now, after every big point on a great rally or whatever, like
grunting.
There's more to it because it's an international sport. You got people from all around the world.
Right.
Watching last night, this guy from Chile is playing Gael Monfils, not Monfils, like some announcers. Anyway, Gael Monfils, who's from France, okay? And he's playing this dude from Chile. I can't think of his name. The Chileans. So I'm thinking Chile is not far from Australia. Like, it's not like from here, it's 30 hours to Australia or whatever. Like Chile, you think about it, like Australia, it's like 15 hours, all ocean. Let's go. One shot. Can probably get, there's probably commuter flights,
right?
From Santiago, Chile to Melbourne, right? So there's a bunch of Chileans there and they're fucking loud. And one guy in particular, and they keep showing him, is a real asshole. And the announcers have to sort of hold back to not say, get this asshole out of here, right? He's yelling as they're serving. And even the Chilean player is going, look, there's nothing I could do. And the chair umpire keeps warning. Okay. And Monfils is like, come on, what's going on? I'm watching this stuff, right? And I don't know what the guy's saying. I have no idea what he's saying. Okay. I mean, I know some Spanish, right? But right. I don't know. What the fuck is that? That's the Chilean Spanish, I guess. But I don't know what he's saying, and nobody knows what he's saying, but he's yelling it out while the match is going on. And the umpire in English keeps going, please, ladies and gentlemen, please. Oh my God. It was quite the drama. Where was I? Shapovalov. Anyway, okay, now I'm done with, you've lost interest. He won it in 3 hours and 22 minutes. He gets Zverev, the wife beater, in the next round. But his buddy, Felix Auger-Aliassime, who's the number 9 seed, has a third round date with Dan Evans of Great Britain later today, like tonight, like 1 a.m. Our time, which is 15 hours, whatever. Forget that. He's got a date with Dan Evans, and that match goes, whenever. And you never know what time it's going to start. Like last night's Shapovalov match, they said was supposed to start at 10:30 last night. But if you follow tennis at all, you know that it's always like not before 7 p.m., not, that kind of thing. And it's dependent on the previous match. So if the previous match goes the limit and there's any kind of delay that adds to it, and they have to come out, they have to wait for those guys to get off, then they clear the court or whatever, and then the next group comes on, then they do their warm-ups, and they drink their water, and they do the coin flip, and they do the whatever, then they do some more warm-ups, then they start the match. You don't know when it is. So I'm sitting around last night and nothing to do, but I'm like, when's this match going to begin? So I have to watch the fucking Edmonton Oilers against the Florida Panthers. I hate Edmonton. Well, I don't want to hear anything more about Edmonton. God damn Edmonton. Really? I'm from Toronto. Stop with Edmonton. Enough with Edmonton. God, Edmonton. Oh,
City of Champions. Hey,
my God.
Wait, but Hebsy, quick point here.
Jim Matheson, the Edmonton Hall of Fame reporter, Edmonton's Leon Draisaitl, who of course plays alongside Edmonton's Connor McDavid, who's the best hockey player in the world, but he plays for Edmonton, who doesn't have a goaltender, have no goaltenders, looking for goaltenders. Okay. I mean, oh my God, enough with Edmonton. Finally, let me finish up with this. Okay, Raphael.
Oh, but firstly, if I make real quickly, is I love your enunciation. Like, you're so good at these great names I hear in tennis, like Felix Auger-Aliassime and Monfils, and you're so good. Does it disappoint you when you have to read like a super boring fucking name like Dan Evans? Like, Dan Evans. Like, what can you do with that name?
Nothing.
Get out of here, Dan.
His parents named him Dan Evans. That's it. If they would have named him Maximilian Evans, now we could have some fun with that.
Right? Yeah, something. Okay.
Anyway, so Rafa Nadal, 4-set winner today over number 28, Karin Khachanov. And on the women's side, Naomi Osaka, who answers every question.
Like a teenage girl.
She went down in 3 sets to the American Amanda Anisimova. Listen to that name, Amanda Anisimova, American. All right, okay. She's going to be the next. She's going to be the next American star. She's the one. Oh. She had some issues. There was a death in the family about a year ago. She's still very young. She was a semifinalist. She was like, as a 17-year-old, she was right there with Bianca Andreescu as an up and coming young player. Career was derailed. And she won. She beat Osaka today. And they have in women's, because they play best 2 out of 3 and not 3 out of 5. Mm-hmm. If you go to a tiebreaker in the final set, you have to score 10 points to win the tiebreaker, not 7 like you normally would. So It's a 10-point tiebreaker in the final set, and she won 10-5 in the tiebreaker to move on. And now who does she get to play? The number 1 seed and local favorite, Australian Ashley Barty. Woo. No Canadian females left because both Leila Annie Fernandez and Rebecca Marino went out in the first round. And Andreescu, you tell me, Mike.
Well, you're going to say one-hit wonder.
I'm not going to say that because that's not true at all. She won more than one tournament. She won the
one
major.
Hit. Oh, yeah, but us commoners saw one hit being the U.S. Open.
But wait a second. Now you're into different territory. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to fight you on this one. Sure. Might have to get Freddie when he comes on to fight you on this one.
You're going to tell me Indian Wells. Like, Freddie would agree with me. Win a major and you get the attention of the
So the major is the 1 hit. But what happens if you have a number 3 hit? If you don't win a major, but it's a number 3 hit?
Like a Rogers Cup?
Like let's say you're Badfinger. What about the band Badfinger? Yeah, that's not a 1-hit wonder. They had a 1 and a 2 or a 1 and a 3 or kind of thing. Okay, never mind. That's bad. Flash
in the pan, though. You like to say the term "flash in the pan" for.
You like that band, though, that Australian band, Flash in the Pan, don't you?
Good band. Is that a band?
Nope. Well, maybe you'll talk about that on your next show.
Okay, on YouTube.
2 words, Mike. 2 words: soft and purposeless. Soft and purposeless. That's how Coach Sheldon Keefe described the Toronto Maple Leafs performance the other night when they blew a 2-goal lead, and then they blew another 2-goal lead and lost 6-3 to the Rangers. Now, when you use the word soft to describe any athlete, male or female, professional or amateur, you are walking a fine line. Nobody wants to be called soft. And when the coach uses the term in public, well, the players had better respond in kind with some kind of sandpaper, some kind of grit, some kind of determination. Oh, it's great that Mitch Marner snapped his power play goal scoring slump. Woo! It snapped his slump. And wasn't it wonderful that Austin Matthews almost set a record for the most consecutive road games with a goal? It'd be great if you played 10 straight road games and scored a goal in every one of them without going home. But to say, oh, by the way, you played 4 games on the road, you scored in every game. Then you came home and you scored at home and didn't score. Then you went on the road for a game and scored. Then you came home and then you went on the road and scored 2 more games and you set a record for scoring in a road game 11. Oh, fuck. What a stupid record. Whoever came up with some of these records, honest to God. Okay. Did you at any time say, geez, I wonder who has the record for the most consecutive goals scored in road games on Tuesdays, matinees?
All the time.
Right off with some of these, honest to God. Seriously. Come on. Has Austin Matthews been that spectacular that we've going, oh my God, of course, 10 straight, 10 games in a row with a goal on the road? He just roared through Columbus and Vancouver and San Jose and left them in the dust. Who the fuck cares about a most insignificant record? Big fucking deal. And by the way, the Maple Leafs have fallen into third in the division, and they're only 3 points up on fourth place Boston. Now, if Boston overtakes the Maple Leafs, that means the Leafs are battling for a wild card spot. Now, no one could have predicted that, could they have? Not me.
I think Freddie Pee would have predicted that.
Tomorrow night, they're on Long Island. Okay, Long Island. And by the way, Ralph Macchio was on the Jimmy Fallon show the other day. Big time Islanders fan. Like they were season ticket holders, the family, and he's like honored there. They had a hockey card, Ralph Macchio. So what they do at the Islander game is, what they do is they do a wax on, wax off thing. Hey. Fallon's telling the stories. They're doing, and everyone, they're recognizing famous people, and they show Ralph Macchio, and the place goes nuts.
That's wild.
Absolutely nuts. So good on Ralph Macchio. So that's pretty funny. Anyway, the Islanders are, listen to this. The Islanders have only played 30. What happened? Oh, there. The Islanders they've played 9 less games than Washington. Like they got a lot of games to make up. A lot of games. And Washington is sort of the wild card leader at this point. So Washington has 21 more points than the Islanders, but the Islanders have 9 games in hand. So you know that the stats geeks are like, okay, wait a second, 9 games, and that's at 18 points. You know, we could. So you never know. I mean, in this NHL, this crazy NHL, you just never know. Mike.
Yes, sir.
Our next guest, are you familiar? Would you be? Are you in a position where you could fairly and properly introduce our next guest?
All you need to know is that this gentleman was at my wedding to the lovely and beautiful Monica. That's how close I am to our next guest.
Even I didn't go to that wedding.
Even Hebsy wasn't at that wedding.
I just spilled all over myself.
Now, I can tell you the history of Freddie Pee if you like. Of course, he was on the Pete and Geet show doing sports where Mike Stafford was doing news.
Whoa. Yeah. You're taking all my thunder. Just introduce
me. I didn't know you had thunder. You never have thunder.
Just introduce
Co-host of the Humble and Fred show since 1989. You can hear the Humble and Fred podcast wherever you get your podcast. They record 4 days a week. They're amazing. I love producing their show. This, my friends, is Freddie Pee from Humble and Fred.
Good morning.
Fred.
Mark.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. I've known you. Fred. I've known Hebsher a lot longer than I've known Mike Boone. I know that.
Oh, my God. We're going to get into that in a second, Fred. But as you know, being a podcast veteran, we have to find a way to make a couple of dollars. To see how much the price of bread alone, okay? Mm-hmm. Which I'm going to cut back on because it's just getting so expensive. Like it's making it. So we got to make some. So listen, Fred, I know that you're into personal hygiene.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Right. So let's make it all of the time.
Okay.
And let's ensure that you get this fantastic product. It's NateMakesSoap.com is the company. Local company here. I use it. It's phenomenal. The size of the bar is perfect. It fits right into that big mitt there. It's for guys. Mm-hmm. You know, it's sort of like soap on the rope used to be, but no rope. Like that big, give me that big bar there. Don't give me these little anyway. So listen to this.
Soap on the rope was that I used to use that as a kid.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, hang it up there, right? Yeah. Anyway, Nate's soap moisturizes your skin. It doesn't dry it out. It's great. Listen, I've tried it. It's fantastic. And in some really interesting, I don't want to say fragrances isn't the right word. Flavors isn't the right word either.
Smells.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So listen to this. Nate's got an incredible offer for listeners of this podcast. And Freddie, you're going to be in on this too. You're getting a free sample of the soap. Okay. Now, by the way, if you live in Toronto, so in the free delivery zone from St. Clair to King and Bathurst to Keele, all right, you get a free bar of soap, man. You get a free sample of Nate's amazing soap delivered right to your home, right to your office. Claim your free bar of handmade soap, person delivered by Nate. Go to www.hebsy.online/soap. Hebsy.online/soap. All right.
Well, I'm in the outer reaches of the GTA, but
no, you don't have to worry, Fred, because you're a guest.
Oh, okay.
You get it. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, you're good. You get that, buddy. That's
really
that's
fantastic.
our party gift to you before you even start. How about that?
Great.
Okay. And
Thank
listen
you.
to this. Since you're not in Nate's delivery zone, our friends at goodfootdelivery.com are going to make sure that you get your sample. Okay.
Wow.
Even though you're not in the zone. Who are goodfootdelivery.com, you ask? Well, they are a Toronto courier service that provides meaningful employment to the neurodiverse and developmentally disabled community. They offer employment and support to a community of people who traditionally have challenges finding regular, meaningful employment. This was founded in 2010, an amazing local nonprofit organization, headquarters right around the corner from me at Patterson College. They operate on foot and public transit. They're not taking Ubers.
Wow.
No, none of that. Rare bikes. No, not really. No, they travel across Toronto and the GTA, delivering anything from gifts to important documents, even prescriptions. Trusted by companies such as Loblaws, Beanfield, Metro Connect, and Colliers, you can be certain that your order will be delivered with care. So we're partnering with Good Food Delivery. Nate makes soap. Good Food Delivery, by the way, is offering you, the listener, 50% off any of their delivery services. Go to goodfootdelivery.com, goodfootdelivery.com, and the promo code HEBSY50, HEBSY 50 for 50% off. Okay?
Well, that's exciting because I'm so bored during this latest lockdown. Whenever I get a delivery, I just sit and watch my security camera all day, waiting for that arrival. Maybe so I can open the door and say hi to the delivery man, so I can actually have face-to-face communication with a human being, other than my sweet wife, of course.
Of course.
Who's
now, Fred,
grateful that you have the soap. Hebsy, I have an intro song for Freddie Pee. Can I play a little?
Whoa. Like, is this like a walk-up song here?
Yeah, well, it was requested on the YouTube channel by
and we just now,
fan.
so see, Fred, see what this show has become? Now we're like the request line.
This will be just a bit here.
Like when
Hold
you
on.
and I got into radio, you called the request line. Hi, could you play Marty Robbins for me, please? El Paso City? Sure, I'll have that.
Just a little taste for Freddie Pee.
Hamilton Band.
Oh, no.
Come on, Mike, what is this?
Check this one. Looked under my tree, and it was there.
All right, cut that. Come on.
Okay, but this, of course, the legendary snow removal machine. Great jam from Freddie Pee.
You've never heard that, Hebsher?
Yeah,
I have heard it. Fred, listen, Fred.
I did that over 30 years ago. I know all your stuff.
Fred, you don't even know your own stuff, Fred. You guys did. I told you about 20 years ago, and I told you, so I don't remember this. Okay. I want to be a cowboy, and you can be my cowgirl.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Sports Zone. Don't even get me started. Let me just tell people. Okay. Fred and I met 43 years ago. We were both about the same age. Freddie, you're the same age as me.
Yeah.
We're both in radio. We're working at a station called CKFH 1430, owned by Foster Hewitt. That's what the FH was for. Very excited to be even working in radio in Toronto. Right, Fred?
Absolutely. But
So
you
go
were
on.
on air. You were on air. I wasn't.
I was on the air, yeah.
They wouldn't let me behind a microphone. No.
Yet.
Yeah. Barry Nesbitt thought I sounded too young.
You probably did, I guess.
Oh, I did, of course.
But the characters that were there. So anyway, so listen. So we're both, Freddie, 21, 22 years old, right?
Yeah.
Out of college, I went to Conestoga. Where'd you go? Where'd you go to school?
Seneca.
Right. So we took broadcasting course. So now you're like, and so the characters, like we had like Bill Hewitt, okay, Foster Hewitt station. His son, Bill Hewitt, the legendary play-by-play voice, he'd come by every so often. I think he was the general manager of, he had some title there, whatever. Bob McCown was like, ruled the roost there, Bob McCown. And this was a sports station, not all sports, but we had Jays, we had Leafs. McCowan had a talk show. We did sportscast. I did a sportscast in the afternoon, and I produced McCowan's talk show. You'd see legendary characters come walking through the doors.
I know the lineup was Brian Barker in the morning. I worked
and Bernie
with him.
the Blue Jay.
Yeah.
Remember the first years of the Blue Jays on radio? That was a wild place to work.
And then Al Kingdon, I think, in the middle of the days, and Rob Cowan in the afternoon.
That's exactly, for sure. And then you had Mal Ferris on the weekends. You had Country Don Rickerby, who came back from his vacation in Hawaii only to find out he had been fired.
Yes, and Murray Eldon in the newsroom.
The best. And Murray Eldon was, after Bob McCown, who did it the first season, Murray Eldon was the PA announcer for Blue Jays for many, many, many years. And a wonderful guy. But here's the thing. He knew nothing about sports. Murray was a great newsman, great voice. I'm Murray Eldon. Fabulous. I love Murray, but he sort of got the job by accident because McCown couldn't do it the next year. He didn't want to be committed to doing 81 home games. He had his talk show to do and that kind of thing. And so within the station, it was like, as I recall, it was like, well, and Murray, would you? And Murray was like, well, what do I have to do? It's the way you announce the player, and okay.
but remember, not to correct you, Murray was at CKFH, and he had to work in that newsroom. Foster didn't like to spend money,
Right.
So the equipment was in horrid disrepair.
Oh my God!
And then I went in to work one day, and Murray called me over, and he said, "I'm leaving." And I said, "You're leaving?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to CKFM to do sports."
Right.
So
That's funny.
Yeah, and that was a great day for him because they were paying him nothing at CKFH, and he was actually going to have a living wage at CKFM.
We didn't realize, I think we realized it somewhat, but not until you worked for other radio stations did you realize how terrible a place it was and how cheap they were. And even the signal, you couldn't get CKFH north of Eglinton when the wind was blowing from the west. It was really a bad signal. And I just remember, the engineers, Jack Lowe and Jerry Wilson, spent so much time at the transmitter site, like on their hands and knees, fixing stuff and trying oh God, it was just, it was awful. And
of course, Ron Hewitt was the general manager.
No relation, though, to Foster and Bill.
And Ron was a good guy.
Yeah. Fred, so now let's fast forward past all that. You go to, you end up at 102.1 CFNY, The Edge, that kind of thing. And you're a sports guy. Like you're now a sportscaster, and you weren't a beat reporter, I guess, but you were at enough games, practices, talked to enough athletes that you're right into that. And of course, you were a Toronto sports fan anyway. So tell me how that evolved from being a fan growing up, here, and being a Leaf fan and a Jays fan, and then having to cover those teams.
Well, fantasy, of course. A kid in Scarborough, loving sports. Wasn't much of an athlete. I played sports, but of course, never even a consideration that I could ever make a living that way. Like, 99.99999% of the population.
House league player, right? A house league player.
And then I just became, the media. I just became very interested in that aspect. I grew up, our house was not CFRB, it was 1050 Chum, which meant Dave Wright, Chum Sports. And
fabulous.
then Brian Henderson.
Brian Henderson, fabulous. Oh my God. Sports and commentary.
Yes. And then
that was the beauty of it. It was sports and commentary.
Right. Oh, and he was just amazing. I loved him. I just loved listening to that guy. In fact, I was supposed to have a coffee with him just before he died. Very disappointing. And then I read in the Star one day that there was going to be this sports talk show on this CKFH station, which I had never listened to. And I couldn't believe it. You mean not just a sportscast? Somebody's actually going to talk about sports? And at the beginning, I believed it was the evening, and it was Bob McCown, who had been in the golf industry and then was a salesman, had talked them into letting him do this sports talk show. Well, I listened to it, and I was just like over the moon. To me, this was the greatest thing in the history of broadcasting. Not just a sportscast, actually a talk show about sports.
But at that point. Yeah. But there was a weekly one, I think Monday nights, CFRB 1010, Bill Stevenson and or Dave Hodge. I think there was a Monday show there, but it wasn't like neither one of them were outrageous. Bob would be outrageous. And the callers, the other thing was the callers that would come on CFRB, hello, Bill, could you tell, is Bill Simons a better running back than Cookie Gilchrist? I mean, it was pretty tame stuff because CFRB 1010 was very, middle of the road.
Well, that's why I liked Brian Henderson and Dave Wright at Chum, because they were flamboyant. They had personalities. And CFRB, you're right, had that, had a whole different feel.
Yeah,
and the thing was, right out of the gate, McCown knew what he was doing. In fact, I talked to Bob last week, and
You did?
Yes.
Did he ask about me?
No. No, but he was talking about the strategy of talk radio, sports talk radio, and having to be a personality and say outrageous things to hook an audience, and the rest is history. It was a very interesting conversation. But anyway, I was hooked on that, and then I thought, okay, this is what I want to do. And I was in grade 10 at the time. I found out at Stephen Leacock Collegiate Institute in Scarborough, they had like a media television course.
Wow.
Back in the 70s, there was lots of education money, right? So I went up for an interview, and I walk into this studio in a high school, and it's like a real television studio. So I did the audition. I got a position. So for grades 11 and 12, I went to Leacock, and I was in front of a TV camera all the time. They had a little radio station. It was fabulous. And from there, I went to Seneca, and then I got a job. And next thing I know, and I'm very lucky, Mark, because a lot of guys, I was accepted for jobs in Estevan, Saskatchewan, in a few of these little markets. A lot of guys had to do that. I was so lucky that I ended up in Brampton, which was like a small market in the big city. Mm. And I grew up with CFNY. And I was so lucky that way. So within almost instantly, I'm at a college. I'm in the Leaf dressing room. I'm in the Blue Jay dressing room. It was crazy. So that was my journey.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And now, and how many years has it been since you were had a regular terrestrial radio gig? When was that last?
That would have been, well,
I mean, I'm talking when, I'm talking about a long-standing one, not a.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 2005.
And this is 17 years. So 17 years ago. So 17 years ago, did you see the writing on the wall for the radio industry? Did you see that and say, I don't know if it's going, I don't think they're going to pay the big bucks to the morning people anymore. I don't know if that ad card, is AA time is what it was before. Did you see that happening? Because I saw it in television. I noticed that, once they stopped spending money, the writing's on the wall. There, the bean counters are now in control. And as good as you could be, as creative as you want to be, you're going to be handcuffed. It's going to be finances. They're not going to, they'd rather have pay two people to do your job. That it's going to, and save $100,000 or whatever the number is.
Honestly, no, I didn't, because 2005, that hadn't set in yet. And then I was out of radio for a while. I had a contract with Gary Slate at the Mix that after they fired me in 2005, I was paid to almost 2009. I just had salary. Oh yeah, I was paid salary continuance. Well, to leave Chorus, and CFNY/Mojo Radio, when they approached us, I remember I said to Howard, I'm not going there without a guaranteed contract. So whether we work there 5 years or a day, I want to be paid. And he totally agreed. Because I had been with Chorus or companies that evolved from Chorus or Chorus evolved from for over 25 years. So it was a big decision. So I was at a radio.
But you had leverage. So you had leverage for maybe the only time, the one, it's like going free agency, I guess, in sports. You got your one shot here to look after your family, the rest of your life, if you're smart, and this is your one chance to go for it.
Well, yes and no, Marcus, because in 1993, Howard had come back to CFNY after a year at CKFM. Was it the Mix back then? I can't remember.
No.
And we, the Hummel and Fred show, we got an offer from Q107 to go do the morning show at Q107. I forget who we would replace or who had left, and we used that leverage to get new contracts at CFNY.
Beautiful.
So that was my first step up.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And even prior to that, it was interesting because I worked out in Brampton and we had good sponsorship on the sportscast with Labatt's. And I always seemed to fit into the morning shows. And it was interesting because people thought I was parked out there in Brampton, although we broadcast off the CN Tower after 81, thinking I was making no money. And I would talk to a few of the other sportscasters in town, and I was making more money than all of them. Because I would just go in and I honestly, David Marsden was such a beautiful, beautiful person. I'd go in and say, David, Delise is pregnant. I'm going to have a kid. I'm not making enough money. I don't want to leave. Let me see what we can do.
Nice.
And they were always, always fair. And the thing is, my sportscasts at CFNY were always sponsored to the tune of a couple of $100,000 a year. So they could look at that and think, we can pay this guy a decent wage. And they did.
Freddie, I used to listen to you every morning, man. Every morning.
Yeah.
When I was driving truck and stuff like that, every morning. I remember one time something that you mispronounced the guy's name. Do you remember this? Listen, I was in the truck. I said, I got to give a call. And for some, I think you had given me the hotline into your office in the news, whatever it was. And I remember calling you. I said, Freddie, next time you go, like you were going on in another half hour or whatever. I said, Freddie, before you go on next time, you said this and it's pronounced this. I'm forgetting who the guy was. And you're going, okay, thanks. And then of course I'm listening and you nailed it the next time, you know? And I was like, beautiful. Like I felt I had something to do with that. Like I stopped you from mispronouncing. It's like, what's her name on TSN who kept calling Gael Monfils. And I'm like, it's Monfils. Come on.
Yeah.
All you have to do is watch. Anyway.
You know what the fun thing was about CFNY though? Right out of the gate, working with Pete and Geets, I probably went on the air and say, Mark Hebscher phoned me and told me to pronounce this name properly. It was always so loose and so creative. And that's what Marston used to say to us all the time. Be creative. Do different things. Do what other stations won't do. And we did.
That was kind of our mantra at Sportsline. It was part of Global's to an extent because Global did not want to be CBC, did not want to be CFTO, and so I think that they gave us, there was more, we certainly got more rain than some of the other places, not unlike you guys, kind of the new guys in town, up against the established stations and let's do something to make people sit up and take notice.
And, I worked, you want to talk about pioneers. Pete and Geets were pioneers. They were the first guys in Canada to do a fun, irreverent FM morning show. They were.
Let's go back for those who don't know. So we're talking about Pete Griffin and Geets Romo. Geets Romo's real name is David Haidu. Famous. He was the engineer at the station, and he was fixing a turntable one morning while Pete was on by himself.
This is at Chum FM.
At Chum FM, okay, and Pete Griffin was on by himself, and Pete was it was funny, but straightforward kind of guy. And now he's sort of doing an interview with the station engineer live on the air while David is fixing the turntable, and it was fabulous. I never heard it, but I hear it was great. And the two of them developed these. Pete was the straight man, and Geets had various characters, and it was a wonderful morning show on CFNY and on Chum FM, right?
Yes, at Chum FM, and then Geets, I think, went to Q107, and then Marsden had the idea. Once we got on the CN Tower, now they were a player. Let's get a morning show. So he pitched them, and they agreed to come. And it was just fantastic. Again, look at me. I'm a year and a half removed from college, and I'm sitting with Pete and Geets, and I'm doing the sports. No. And Griffin really knew how to use the people around him. And, again, I'm just a kid. And, I could be as creative as I wanted with the sportscast, which a lot of guys my age couldn't be. And I was. I've always been a creative guy, and I love humor and everything, so I brought that into my sportscast. I just did right out of the gate. And Pete was the type of guy, and Geets, almost right out of the gate. Outside of my sportscast, I'd come in and sit at the table with them, and we'd talk about stuff, usually sports, and they did the same thing with Stafford. Like I'm 22 doing the sports on CFNY. Stafford's like 19 doing the news. But anybody listening to Mike Stafford at that time would have thought he was like a middle-aged guy, totally seasoned. Well, he was brilliant. He is a brilliant man. But anyway, I was just so lucky to be thrown into it that quickly with those guys, and it was just a fabulous experience.
All right, now let's get to the nitty-gritty here. I need to know from you this Matheson-Draisaitl thing, all right, which is just, I mean, I think it's the cheapest type of, it's not journalism, it's content. It's like, oh, this is beautiful. Because now every press conference, start to finish, is recorded, and you hear disembodied voices asking questions, and athletes who don't want to answer them, and like they have to answer them. It's just so different from when you and I could go into the locker room or say, can I meet you for a coffee? And we can have a talk away from the rink. I mean, it's just completely different. So I'm interested in your take on this.
We talked about it on the Humble and Fred show the other day.
I wasn't liithing the other day. I'm sorry. Okay. So I need to know from you.
No, we were. And both Howard and I agreed. We loved it. Again, being, that's the same. The seasoning I got with Pete and Geets put me in a good position to work with someone like Howard, right? He was very, smart, quick-witted, all those things.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess, we've been together 30 years, and I guess that's.
But Howard doesn't know a lot or care a lot about sports.
No, but you know what Howard does?
But he's interested in just like regular life, like why that or who's that?
Well, for the Humble and Fred show, the way it's evolved, he knows what he needs to know. He knows the headlines, and he asks me for the detail. It works quite well.
Which is the way it's supposed to be, right? Like, I'm not the expert, Fred, you are. Tell me what's going on with.
Right. And so Howard brought that story to the table the other day with the audio. I hadn't even heard about it.
Oh, you hadn't?
No, I hadn't.
But you're not on Twitter. You're not on Twitter, are you?
No, I've gotten right away from social media. It disgusts me. So
yeah, okay. Well, that's Fred Patterson, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks very much. NateMakesSoap.com. Freddie will be sending you a sample over there to your home in Brampton, and it was great having. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Anyway, so Howard and we both agreed on it. I thought it was great. And again, I really don't know who this Matheson guy is.
What? You don't know? He's a Hall of Fame writer. Did you not hear?
No, Mark. Here's the thing.
He's a Hall of Fame writer.
The older
Hall of Fame.
Oh, great. What Hall of Fame? What Hall of Fame? I like what?
The Hockey Hall of. He's still active, but he's in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
This is what I don't understand. But this is what I don't understand. How can you be in a Hall of Fame for your body of work and still be active? You mean your body of work's not complete, but we're going to make you a Hall of Famer. Now you can walk around with the moniker Hall of Famer.
Sounds like the Radio Hall of Fame. It's a waste of time. No, seriously. Until they
you got to be retired to be in a Hall of Fame. That's the only, to me, that would be the only stipulation. You have to be retired. Mm-hmm. Then you can enter the Hall of Fame.
Speaking of Hall of Fames, I'll just get this in because I still maintain
Halls
it's funny.
Of Fame. Halls.
The Radio Hall of Fame, whatever they call that thing, until like Pete Griffin or Pete and Geets are in that Hall of Fame as FM morning radio pioneers, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. But anyway, where were we? No, I didn't know he was a Hall of Famer, but understand too, Mark, the older I get, the less I care about sports. I just do. Like I used to be a guy like you,
That's why we had you on.
I would drill down, I would dive deep or whatever it is Boone says. But honestly, this Matheson guy, whether he's in the Hall of Fame or not, I don't know. All I know is I loved it when he said, "Why are you so pissy?" Because he said what so many reporters would love to say over the years. But, we're in a weird position, reporters, that you gotta protect your territory. Because you cross one athlete, and the brotherhood could crush you. So my position is, I guess Hall of Famer. The man is well established. He doesn't have to worry about that. So he threw it right back at Draisaitl. I thought it was great. What about you?
I thought it was overblown because I'm sure this has gone on before. Mm-hmm. It's just that everything is recorded now, and it's real easy to cherry pick. And I mean, look, it made the headlines everywhere. It's cheap programming, cheap content. It's beautiful. You didn't have to do anything, right? You just picked up the feed that everybody else got. Everyone saw it on Twitter, whatever it was. And now you're going to analyze word by word, and you're going to, what did he mean there? And we've been to enough of these before. The difference is this is the way it works now in sports, that you're not in the same room. We don't even see. That's the other thing is we don't even know, right? We don't the way it appears, and you need context. Have these two had a battle going? Is Matheson in the same room as Draisaitl? Can Draisaitl see Matheson in a Zoom picture? Well, give me I need more context. I need more than just taking the clip, right? Like, for example, the way I understand it was Draisaitl had given a pretty long and detailed answer to a previous question, felt he had answered that question as best he could. And then when, by the time you saw Matheson stuff, that would have been more prodding, according to some people that were there. According to others, Matheson did nothing wrong. Of course, this is other reporters, right? He did nothing wrong. He's trying to get his story. He can't get the story because he can't get close to the player to do a one-on-one, which he's used to doing, and that's how you get the best thing. And he's now part of a situation where the only way he can get his answer is to publicly, in front of cameras and other reporters and such, the world, ask a question in a certain tone that he would never do if he was one-on-one with Draisaitl, but he needed to get the story. And so he became the story by saying, "Why are you being so pissy?" Which was the poor choice of words and unprofessional. And Draisaitl's
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Yeah, say
Oh,
pissy.
come on.
You're gonna call a guy pissy? Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Here's why I think it's great, because the athletes, they get all the time in the world for you when you're telling them how fucking great they are. You know, you've seen it, I've seen it. And the minute they're pressed a bit, then the rules are supposed to change. Sorry. And again, I'll go back to the thing. You know, as a guy in the dressing rooms back in the day, of course, yeah, you know, I've got a few stories where I just wanted to tell the guy to fuck off, but I couldn't because I would never get back in the dressing room. Or
Did he ever, what about him? Do you think he ever wanted to tell you to fuck off with some of the questions? Of course he did, but he can't. So you got to look at it that way too.
No.
And you've heard some of the questions.
I'll give you
some questions that have been asked and gone, oh my God, what a fucking question that was, which you would have never heard that question ever uttered, ever, because that question would have been asked in private and maybe in a different tone if the guy had an opportunity to be close. But Freddie, when we used to do scrums, remember, you would scrum the guy, right? He'd come out of the dressing room and 7 microphones would right in his face and TV cameras, you'd scrum the guy. And it was the same. It was a bit of an interrogation type of thing, but okay, there were still some kind of rules there. Like you weren't face to face going like, you know, what the, you wouldn't say, why are you being so pissy if you're 3 feet from Rick Vive's face? You know, you wouldn't do it. But it's nice to be able to call a guy pissy when you're not even in the same room.
No, because I wouldn't have the nuts that he might beat me up. But
right.
no, in a situation like that, no, I'll give you an example. I'm down in Dunedin, Blue Jay spring training. Remember, originally the Blue Jays had those uniforms. They were like pajamas. They didn't have the button-down fronts and the belts. Remember those?
Of course.
So it had come out during the winter that the Blue Jays were actually going to join the majors when it came to uniforms. They were going to have the button-down shirts and the belts. And I remember having thought, I would see the Yankees and think, why aren't the Blue Jay uniforms like this? It's like they're wearing pajamas.
Right.
So it became a bit of a story. So I'm working for CFNY. Labatt's is paying to have me down there, and I have to do not only sportscasts, but I have to do Blue Jay reports as well. So you know what it's like. I'm doing a list. What kind of reports can I do, sort of filler stuff? And I thought, hey, the uniforms. So Lloyd Mosby's in the dressing room one day, and I walk in him. I said, Lloyd, can I have a word? Yeah. And I said, yeah, they're changing the uniforms this year, and I was just wondering, what's your spin on that? Do you like the new look? I ain't talking about I'm not talking about the uniforms. I don't want to talk about that. And I'm a young guy, and I'm thinking, you know, he might even be a year younger than me or whatever. And he just stopped me in my spots, and I felt like saying, well, fuck off, asshole. Seriously, that was a legitimate question. You know what bugged me about that? If Bob McCown had asked that question, he would have answered it. If Don Chevrier or whoever was a big shot sportscaster at the time had asked that question, he would have answered it. But that's what he said to me. From that day on, I couldn't stand that bastard. And he might be the nicest guy going. It all depends on the situation. Was he having a bad moment? Maybe. But he didn't have to answer me that way. He could have said, you know what, guy, I'm a little stressed right now. Can you come back and ask me that later? Or come back and in a few minutes? Because I had athletes do that as well. So that was a situation where a guy, he just stopped me in my tracks. I felt like 2 inches high, and my image of him, or my impression of him, changed immediately. So, I mean, that's just an example, and there's a few of them over the years. Conversely, Don Mattingly, I approached him of the Yankees. I'm thinking, New York Yankees, Don Mattingly. I'm going to go up and ask him a question. I was nervous as shit. He couldn't have been nicer. And this was during the same trip, so I'm thinking, my goodness, look at that. Lloyd Mosby, Don Mattingly. Who was the bigger star at the time? By tenfold.
That's interesting because
Don Mattingly, and Mattingly was nice. Now, it may turn out that Mattingly generally is known as a prick. To me, that day, he was great. So,
Mike, Toronto Mike, do you have a question for Freddie Pee before we let him go? Because he's got to go home. He's been there since like 4 o'clock in the morning.
No, we didn't do a show today, and I'm in my basement.
That's right. There's a Humble and Fred show on Fridays, Hebsy.
I was not aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, I'm usually doing something Friday mornings anyway, so it's sort of not on my radar on Fridays. You'll have to excuse me.
But if you do like what you hear from Fred Patterson, you would love the Humble and Fred show. And I will say, once a month on the Humble and Fred show, there's an appearance by Mark Hebsher to come talk sports. You're on at least once a month, right, Hebsy? And you're good.
Mike, you tell me. I don't know. My schedule's so full. I mean, one morning I was on a show and I thought I was on with Humble and Fred. I swear. I was about to go, and I'm waiting for Humble and Fred to pop up on the screen, and it was someone else. And I was like, oh shit, that's right. I'm with somebody else.
It was Jesse and Gene, right?
No, it wasn't. It was no, it wasn't. It was I can't say who it was. But anyway.
Well, Mark, I got to thank you for having me. By the way, Mike, do you have a question or not?
No.
I talk to you so often. I just, I guess I'm disappointed to hear that Lloyd Moseby treated you shabbily, only because I'm a big Shaker fan, big fan of Lloyd Moseby.
You got to get
one thing. You know what? One thing I noticed, Mark, there was a hierarchy of sports, and it was based on income. It was my experience. There was no NBA at the time. Baseball players were arseholes. Hockey players, for the most part, were okay. CFL players were the greatest. Right. And it was like CFL players, didn't make a lot of money.
Humble guy, your neighbor. They were your neighbor.
Got the least amount of attention, so they were more than happy to talk to the media.
Right.
And then there was guys, and quickly, one story as far as the media go. Back in Seneca College, I'm in the broadcasting course there. We decide, because we're close to North Toronto Arena, wherever it was the Leafs were holding training camp, we go over there and we meet Stan Abodiak. And we asked him
the PR director of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
We asked him, could we have press passes for the Leaf training camp? And we're thinking he's going to say no. You know what? He writes us out these press passes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for the rest of training camp, we're whipping, man. And you know what I loved? Here, the opposite of Lloyd Moseby, Lanny McDonald. I had the feeling we would ask him for interviews, and he would always give us an interview, and sometimes say no to the regular beat guys.
Was he not the best?
I got the impression that he was trying to piss off the regular beat guys by always answering the questions from the goofy little college kids. It was great.
All right.
Yeah,
Freddie,
really
before you go now, let me tell you, and I've told this before, but I don't recall if on this show, but Lanny McDonald once called my home. I'm living with my parents in North York, right? I think you might have been there. We might have been working together at the time. I might have told you this story 43 years ago when it happened, but here's the thing. I had asked Stan Abodiak if I could do an interview with Lanny McDonald.
Yes.
And Stan said, well, I'll tell you what, give me your phone number. So give him my phone number at home. Okay, 222-4468. My phone number for years growing up in North York. Here's my number, 222-4468. You didn't even have to put the area code in those days. Yeah. Right? It's easy, Stan. It's easy. And like Stan sometimes would phone me to say, Mark, we're going to have a press conference tomorrow morning at 10:30 because I was working at CKFH. So I'll never forget this. So I asked him for can I do Lanny McDonald? And he goes, sure, give me your number. Okay, great. So I give him the phone. I don't think about it. A couple of days later, I get home. And my mom says to me, somebody called for you. Says he was Lanny McDonald.
Yeah.
You know how that went.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So
that was great.
Left his number. Left his number.
Very quick interjection here. Very quick interjection is that, Freddie, I was thinking about your Shaker story, and then there's a comment on the YouTube from listener Andrew Ward, and he reminded me that Fergie Oliver, at this very same time that you're talking about, Fergie Oliver used to give $100 bills to Blue Jays for
50s.
Interviews. 50s? Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Mike, can I go on with my story, please?
What story?
The one I was just in the middle of when you said I have an important announcement and a bulletin now.
Oh, I thought you were fucking done. Thought you were done, buddy.
No.
Anyway, continue. Now, boys.
I wasn't done. I wasn't done the story. Okay, so my mother says he left his number, and I'm like, come on, this is a joke. It has to be a joke, right?
Yes.
And I phone the number, and I hear, and Lanny's voice very distinctive, right? Very distinctive voice, hello, like hello.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm looking for Lanny McDonald. Yeah, speaking. This is Mark Hebsher. Oh, yeah, Mark. Yeah, I called earlier. Did you want to arrange an interview? You want to meet me at the Gardens tomorrow morning at 10:30?
Nice.
Like I'm like, look, and okay, Mr. McDonald, call me Lanny, like that kind of thing. And I was like the new guy. Same thing, Freddie. I was the new guy.
Yeah.
And he was so accommodating. The next day when I went to meet him, he introduced me to Daryl Sittler. He said, "This is Daryl." Because he's seen me hanging around. Oh, you're the new guy at CKFH. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Lanny McDonald and Daryl Sittler in their prime.
Right.
22-year-old kid. 21.
Well, when I first got in the business, the Argonauts were my favorite Toronto sports.
I love the Argos, man.
Well, beyond the Leafs, whatever.
Wow.
When I started working at CFNY, Ted Wallachin was there, and one of his best friends was Nick Bastaya, who played for the Argonauts.
Yeah, I know Nick. Yeah,
and it was like, that was an in for me. And, I would go to Argos stuff, and Nick would be there and around, and no, it was fantastic. Hey, and before we leave, there's one other thing I want to say. I was fired in 2005 from the Mix 99.9. I had my little sabbatical, and one thing I did during that time is when you were at CH TV 11, whatever they called it.
We don't mention that.
Okay.
Those call letters here.
But the thing is, what was the name of the show again?
Square Off.
Square Off. You were kind enough to have me on every few weeks. I think it was like every 3 weeks, almost as a regular. And I'll always appreciate that, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. What that allowed me to do is just sort of stay on the inside a bit.
Yeah.
No, and I really
Canadian
appreciate
thinker,
that.
man. Are you kidding me?
No, I really, and I would drive out to Hamilton and we'd shoot the shit, and then we'd do our bit, and it was a great way to feel like I was still somewhat on the inside. And to that, for that I say thank you. Huh?
You're welcome. Me and Donna Skelly and later Liz West, we were like, WWFT. What would Freddie think? Anyway, Fred Patterson, thanks, buddy. And we'll talk to you soon on the Humble and Fred radio show. Monday morning. We'll run into each other again.
We've been having a great list of guests lately, thanks to Mike Boone. I have so much fun working with Mahowie every morning.
It's fun stuff, man.
No, it is. And I
miss you guys, because I used to see you all the time. And we used to see, because you guys were our landlords. You were the landlords.
Yeah, absolutely. And this podcasting thing has allowed that show to live on in a form that I'm more proud of now than I've ever been. So
good, and you should be, because man, you guys are fantastic. Keep up the great work. We'll talk soon. Thanks, pal.
Okay, pal. Thank you. Thank you.
See you, Freddie.
All right.
Okay, pal. Thanks, Mike.
See you, man. I
was going to get into basketball with Freddie here, but when you get into Toronto teams with like a diehard Toronto sports fan, there's no, sometimes there's no stopping it. I should have asked.
He doesn't even watch basketball.
What? I can't believe that. Well, I do. Big game for the Raptors tonight in Washington. The Wizards hold down the 8th playoff spot in the East. They're 23-22. Raps a half game back at 21-21. The other night in Dallas, the Raptors had a chance to win. I'm sorry, I don't want Chris Boucher taking key 3-pointers late in the game. The kid's shooting 25% from distance. You got to give the ball up late. You got to give it to Freddie. You got to give it to Pascal. I know Freddie was like 3 for 15 from distance, but come on. You don't want Chris Boucher with a goofy looking shooter too. But again, if they go in, great. But if they don't go in, it looks weird. Anyway, and as well, rookie sensation Scotty Barnes did not defend Luka Doncic very well and allowed him to get free for a 3-pointer that basically sealed the deal for Dallas. So, it's those games you lose late, of which the Raptors have lost plenty of them late. I'm not saying they're going to win them all, but man, if you could, half of those games, if you can, pull out some victories, especially on the road against a really good team, I think they're going to be fine. And as long as they got a full complement of players, they'll make the playoffs. But we say that about every team, don't we? There's always the caveat, if they stay healthy. That always applies.
Always. Evergreen.
That's right. Raptors return home Sunday for a date with the Trailblazers. And by the way, plenty of tickets available for that one. They're just not for sale, as Ontario is closed to indoor crowds of 500 or more, which is a whole other story, which I didn't want to get into, because as if the teams here in Ontario don't have enough problems, Ottawa and Toronto, as far as, not allowing fans into the stands. And every time you watch a game from the States and it's packed, you're like, oh, come on, man. Fuck, that's not fair. Maskless, thousands of fans maskless. And here in Ontario, 500 is half of anything. 500 is half of 20,000. 500 is half of 1,000. Like, that makes no sense at all. Like, who came up with that? So let's limit it at 500. Oh, hang on a second, Bill. Science says 476 would be a maximum if the square footage was so-and-so and the height of the roof divided by the square root of... No, come on. Come on. The whole month. The Leafs have like 24 games in 52 days. Okay? That of which every home game except for like one, nobody can go to. And we don't even know. And even when they do, allow, what are they going to allow? Then they're going to say, okay, it's okay. Okay, Bill, we go from 500 to 5,000 for 8 days. And then if that's okay, we go to 8,500 for 48 hours. And then we allow, and then 12,000. And then after 30 days, as long as there's no positives, then we can go full capacity. Oh, kid, come on. Honestly, really. And the exact opposite this weekend, and I know it's outdoors, I get it. Like 70, 80, 90,000 fans will be going to football games. 8 teams left in the NFL playoffs this weekend. It all starts tomorrow, Saturday, Cincinnati at Tennessee at 4:30. Titans favored by 3.5. I believe they will run all day long against Cincy. Cincy was just happy to win a playoff game for the first time since Jesus wore short pants. I mean, nobody could remember. Like, nobody on the team was alive, had even been born the last time Cincinnati won a play. They did it. Good for them. That's it. Okay. The next hurdle is 2 great Titans are going to win, and they're going to cover the 3.5 point spread. The 8:15 game Saturday. And I still can't believe. I know Buffalo played last Saturday night and it was minus whatever, but like, why would you have a night game? Why? For television. If football didn't used to be played at night in the middle of January, late December maybe, but the middle of January, man, at night in places like that's crazy. So the 8:15 game, Lambeau Field, Green Bay. Now, how bad could the weather be on a Saturday night in middle? What am I saying? What's it going to be? What's the date this weekend here? The 22nd of January, Green Bay, Wisconsin. You kidding me? Pack favored by 5.5 over the 49ers. Say what you will about Aaron Rodgers' personal choices. When it comes to football, the guy's a game changer, and he's got a thing going with Cabby Richards, with Cabral Richards. Cabby did another thing with Aaron Rodgers. Cabby's done a couple with Aaron Rodgers. They hug. Like they were openly hugging.
Huh.
No mask. Of course, that's Rodgers too. But I kind of, that was a bit weird for me to watch Cabby. Cabby is a hugger. No doubt about that. And, with the pandemic, I would think that he was doing less hugging. Obviously, you can't, the handshake for a while was verboten. But now it just appears that, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. I'm vaccinated. You're not, or whatever. Okay. Let's hug because it's for television. I just thought it was awkward to see like guys hugging with no masks. Anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah. On Sunday, the Rams visit Tampa and Tom Brady, and the Bucs have a 3-point pick in that one. This could go either way. This could be a little tougher for Tampa than people think. The Rams, pretty good team. I'm going to go with Brady, the Brady factor, and the home team, and take the Bucs -3. And of course, Mike, the Buffalo Bills. They have to wait until Sunday night to see if the boys can exact revenge on the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. Classic matchup. And of course, I want the Bills to win. Please don't get me wrong. I want them to win. But I haven't decided on how, like, if I think that, I don't know. Do I want to make money? Can I make money if the Bills lose? Well, I feel better that them losing because I made money.
Yeah, this is a bad idea. Bad idea.
Do I bet the Bills? Do I root for the Bills?
Yeah, go big or go home. Don't hedge your bets. Then you're going to be disappointed either way. Like go big or go home.
No, you're wrong. See, I'm wrong. You're wrong. I'm taking Kansas City. I think Kansas City will win the game. I hope they don't. I pray they don't. But you have to understand, being a Bills fan since 1964 and suffering through, and now this is almost 30 years ago, 4 consecutive Super Bowl losses. There's something about this team. I don't know. They're on the road. I'd feel better if they were at home, way better. Kansas City is a good team. Arrowhead is loud. They didn't do it last year. Something happened. I'm picking Kansas City, and I'm laying 2.5 points, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hope I'm wrong. I hope, Mike, next Friday you go, Hebsy, you were wrong. Admit it. Well,
Hebsy, the way I look at it is you got a 50-50 chance of winning that bet. So why not put your 50 on the side where your heart is? Like, to me, it's no brainer.
No, Mike, you don't understand betting. I don't have a 50-50 chance. I don't.
Well, that is.
No, I don't. No. Kansas City could win by 1 and not cover. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
21-20.
How do you think
I lose both ways?
2.5?
Mike. I would lose both ways.
All right.
Then I would kill myself, and then you would have to host the show by yourself. Now let's get on to more important things when it comes to football. The Super Bowl is at SoFi Stadium this year. It's February whatever the fuck it is. This is Sunday. Whatever. What am I looking at here? The 12th? Is it February the 12th? It's my brother's birthday.
Oh,
I think it's the 12th this year. Anyway, so the halftime entertainment, Mike, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar. Not bad.
It's good.
Pretty good. Can you name 8 of the last 10 halftime acts at the Super Bowl? 8 of the last 10. Can you name 5 of the last 10? 5.
No, I remember 10. Beyonce, of course.
You name 2, Beyonce in 2013. Can you name one other?
Katy Perry.
Katy Perry in 2015. Can you name anything in the last 5 years? Last year.
No, I don't think
Canadian.
so. Black Eyed Peas.
Scarborough.
Weekend. That's right.
Correct.
The Weekend, right?
The year before that, a couple of young ladies. They can shake it. The two of them.
Oh, Shakira was there.
And
sure. Oh, J-Lo.
Correct. The year before that,
I need a clue.
5 guys.
5 guys.
Maroon 5.
Maroon 5.
Year before that, Justin Timberlake. Year before that, Lady Gaga, who was great.
Timberlake came back. It's funny, I don't remember Timberlake.
2016 was Coldplay.
Right.
Coldplay, because Moby couldn't make it. Year before that was Katy Perry. Year before that was Bruno Mars, who was spectacular that year. Spectacular.
Yeah, he's good.
Then Beyonce, and 2012 was Madonna.
Wow, I never heard of her.
2012, Madonna. All right.
Up with people.
Patrick Cantlay shot a 10 under par 62 for a share of the first round lead at the American Express Championship at La Quinta, California. Listen to this. He has shot in the 60s in his last 20 consecutive rounds on the PGA Tour. 20 rounds in a row, breaking 70. That's sick. Top Canadian Roger Sloan, 6 under 66, followed by Michael Gligic, who shot 68, as did Adam Hadwin, Nick Taylor, and Adam Svensson, 69. Taylor Penrose, 71. Corey Connors limped home with a 3 over 75. The ladies are playing the Hilton Tournament of Champions in Orlando. Brooke Henderson, 3 under 69 after the opening round, tied for 6th place. Golf done, that done, tennis done, basketball done, hockey done, Fred Patterson done, Mike done. Sponsors looked after. Okay, that's it for episode 268 of Hebsy on Sports. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Thanks for your patience. And thanks as always to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration. Hit him up at Toronto Mike. And don't forget to check out his new podcast, Toast, where they will try to determine what a one-hit wonder really is. Thanks as well to Scott Allen, the executive producer of this episode. And thanks to our guest, Fred Patterson, for joining us today from the Humble and Fred Show. Thanks to NateMakesSoap.com. Go to NateMakesSoap.com. Punch in the promo code Hebsy20, and you get 20% off your first order. And go to GoodFootDelivery.com and punch in Hebsy50 for 50% off your first order with them. They'll deliver anywhere in the GTA, by foot, by transit. Help them out. Help out both, okay? Really good people. Good local businesses, goodfootdelivery.com. And by the way, they offer excellent customer service and attention to detail. And thanks to you for allowing us into your headspace. Back with another episode next week. Our guests are going to be journalist Bruce Dobiggin and his son Evan, co-authors of the book Inexact Science, the 6 most compelling draft years in NHL history. And as you know, building through the draft is the way to build champions. Just ask the Edmonton Oilers. Oops, bad example. Anyway, that should be a good one. Until then, so long for now.
Farewell to the people watching on the live stream.
Thank you, everyone.